The Mental Health Discrimination Bill seeks to eradicate some of the institutional discrimination which still exists towards people with mental health problems on our statute books.
This important new bill will tackle three of the most fundamental injustices that people with mental health problems experience.
At the moment, there are pieces of legislation, three different bits of legislation, that mean that you can't serve on a jury if you have a mental health condition, that mean that you can be removed as the director of a company, and that if you're a member of Parliament, that if you are detained for a period of 6 months or more under a specific piece of legislation, that you lose your seat automatically in Parliament, whether or not you've made a recovery from the condition that you have, when there is no equivalent piece of legislation dealing with people that have got physical health conditions that stop them doing their job properly.
We want as many people as possible to get together, to join our e-campaign, to support MPs to pass this bill.
Ever since I joined Rethink Mental Illness, I've been acutely aware of the dramatic impact that stigma has on the lives of people living with a mental illness. A stigma that can affect people right at the beginning when they're first seeking help, stigma that can impact on people's chances of making a good recovery from their mental health difficulties.
We all know as doctors, as psychiatrists, how much being discriminated against as a patient in mental health services has on their life, their sense of self, their purpose.
I've actually experienced personal discrimination because I like to keep myself fit and active, and I decided that I always wanted to lose some weight. I wanted to join a local weight loss group, and I was very open with the counsellor who ran it, and I actually said to her, I do have a mental illness, and her response was, you're liable to disrupt my group, and our members wouldn't be happy with somebody with a mental illness being in their group.
I really dreaded going into work because the reality was I did take a lot of time off. The management weren't necessarily particularly sympathetic or understanding to my diagnosis of depression when I first started my job. I struggle with it because I think, well, if the law discriminates, then why shouldn't anyone else?
We know that this is a really important issue for many people who experience mental health problems. People like Charlotte, who got in touch with us to tell us about her experience. When she was called for jury service, she really wanted to take part and she felt she had something to give. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to do that simply because she was taking a certain form of mental health medication.
It's really the last form of legal discrimination left in this country, and the bill is trying to do something about that. Beyond that, there is a wider purpose to the bill, and that is for Parliament to send a very clear signal that discriminating against people on the basis of health conditions is wrong, and to try and do something to end the stigma that seems to be attached to mental health conditions. Changing the law doesn't solve the problem at a stroke, but it does send out a very clear signal and begins the process of changing attitudes in society.
I personally got involved in supporting this bill because I've personally experienced stigma and discrimination in society, in places of work and in education. I think this bill can change the lives of people with mental health problems in a big way. It can make them feel that they have the opportunity to further themselves, to make themselves achieve and to believe in themselves.
We have fought so hard for so long for prejudice to be smoothed out with racism, homophobia, sexism, ageism, and it's not fair that mental health has been left out of that.
We need your help to contact your MP to ensure that they're there on the day of the debate. The more MPs that we have there, the more chance we have of ensuring that the legislation is passed.
You can write to them, you can phone them at their office, you can contact them on social media and ask them to be there when this bill, the Mental Health Discrimination Bill, is debated in Parliament.
I actually contacted my local MP and actually had quite an interesting conversation with him, and he did actually listen to me. So I really urge you all to go and contact your local MPs to get them involved.
And I can assure you from personal experience that if large numbers of people contact you and say, this matters to me, what position are you taking? Are you going to be there when it's discussed? A good MP is going to respond to that.
As psychiatrists who are doctors, we want to see how patients have exactly the same rights as every other ordinary citizen and not be discriminated against.
This issue is about the mental health community getting together to tackle stigma and discrimination. We believe it's got the potential to be a watershed moment in the way in which people with mental health issues experience stigma and discrimination. This is worth fighting for.